Hi, I'm Andy Temte, and welcome to the Saturday Morning Muse. Start your weekend with musings that are designed to support your journey of personal and professional continuous improvement and to improve financial literacy around the world. Today is March the 22nd, 2025. Over the last two episodes of the show, we've been exploring the ways that our minds get in the way of financial literacy and good consumption and investing behaviors. Specifically, we've been talking about the impact of cognitive bias in our lives and have introduced the concepts of confirmation bias, decision fatigue, loss aversion, herd mentality, and overconfidence bias, just to name a few. If you're just joining me on our journey toward improving financial literacy, I encourage you to go back and listen to those episodes. Today, we're going to continue our exploration of financial literacy with a fairly straightforward conversation about our consumption habits and how they can, over time, derail our ability to save for the future and establish the financial security that so many of us desire. To kick off the conversation, let's make the distinction between financial security and financial freedom. You hear all sorts of pundits on the internet talking about establishing financial freedom when what we're really talking about is financial security. So here's the difference. Financial freedom means that you have the resources to live comfortably and fulfill your wants and needs without the need to work for a living. Pretty high bar. Alternatively, financial security is all about having enough savings or income to live life without the constant pressure of money worries. In general, we strive for financial security during our working years and financial freedom when we retire. Very few of us can experience financial freedom during our working years, a situation where work is an option and not a requirement. As we move forward, we will be careful to make the distinction between financial freedom and security, and most of the time we'll be talking about achieving financial security on this show. Now, with that distinction in place, let's turn our attention back to our consumption behavior and our habits. Back in December of last year, I talked about the power and the danger of the habits that we establish. Habits can be a strong, positive force in our lives if we periodically inventory and review our habits for their efficiency and their impact on our quest to achieve our dreams and our goals. But left unattended, habits calcify into, quote-unquote, the way it's always been done and can lead us down the slippery slope into a fixed, unyielding mindset. Said differently, we have to periodically, consciously evaluate our day-to-day consumption and living habits by bringing them into working memory and then asking a series of continuous improvement why-style questions to ensure that the habit is a net positive contributor to our life's journey. But how can you actually go about questioning your habits, and how will you know if you've inventoried and evaluated all of them? Now, I've got a recommendation for your financial-oriented habits, and here we go. So first, when doing this work, it's important to be in a mind frame that promotes mental agility and a willingness to question yourself and your behaviors. Don't engage in this work when you're tired, drained, or frustrated. Second, be in a physical position where you have access to your banking, credit card, and investment records. You'll miss a lot if you simply close your eyes and think about what you buy and why. The data doesn't lie, but as we've discussed, our brains routinely trick us. Third, evaluate your financial records one by one. Most everything is in digital form now, so it's both incredibly easy to access your financial records from anywhere, but it's equally as easy to ignore financial transactions and financial records because they no longer come in the mail. The monthly confrontation with a physical credit card bill that just came in the mail listing all of last month's transactions, is no longer the wake-up call that we experience. Next, what does evaluation of a credit card statement look like? Here, log into each account and review the transactions line by line. For each transaction, remind yourself what the charge was for and ask yourself, why did I buy this? Most importantly, ask yourself if the transaction fits into the following 3 categories: a need, a want, or an impulse. Now, as a reminder, a need is something that you can't live without. It is essential to your current state of existence. This is things like rent, utilities, food, and transportation to and from work. Those are good examples. A want is something that you can live without. Most entertainment and travel sits in the want category. Interestingly, a lot of our food purchases are also wants. Ice cream, soda, alcohol, and myriad other treats are wants. Avoid categorizing wants as needs. It's easy to convince yourself that a want is something that you just can't live without. I do it all the time. Next, I recommend labeling impulse purchases separately. Most impulse purchases also fit into the want category, but listing them out separately will give you an idea of just how much of your hard-earned dollars is flowing out of your accounts because in that moment you just had to have whatever that thing was. It will also give you a rough idea of your level of impulse control. Generally, less impulse control means less future financial security, and it's also an indicator of lower financial literacy. Once you have individual transactions labeled, look at the want and impulse purchases and ask yourself the following question: what value or utility did I derive from buying this thing? Then ask, do I need to buy this again in the future? Question whether the purchase has become a habit and whether it's a habit that needs breaking. Many times, we pee money away on wants or impulse purchases that we make out of pure habit and nothing else. For a refresher on what utility or usefulness and value mean, please see my 2 muses on that subject from mid-February of this year. Last, even expenditures that fit into the need category must also be periodically reviewed. Yes, you may need a vehicle, but do you need to lease a fancy car, or can it be something a bit more functional? Speaking of habits, the monthly review of your financial records should be a habit that you adopt and never break. Yes, this habit should be periodically reviewed with an eye toward making the review more efficient, but it should be something that you do every month for the rest of your life. The next step in our process is then to change your consumption behaviors based on this evaluation. Note that you're likely not going to change your behaviors drastically immediately after your first review. Afford yourself the grace to make changes through time. Trying to change too quickly may lead to inaction or future backsliding. For additional help on managing habits, author James Clear does a masterful job of helping folks understand and change their habits in his book, Atomic Habits. I definitely recommend that as adding that to your reading list. So, until next time, I wish you grace, dignity, and compassion. My name is Andy Temte. This is the Saturday Morning Muse. You can find us on all the major streaming services as well as out on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, rate, and most importantly, share this public good with your friends, colleagues, and your neighbors. The show is produced by Nicholas Temte. We'll see you next time on the Saturday Morning Muse.